Hi, good evening, everyone. For those of you who are joining us once again, welcome back. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome. This is the third of the series, which we have titled as the first 1,000 years, 1,000 days and beyond early childhood care and education. Uh, as those of you who've been with us, you know, in the first episode, we had a bureaucrat, very senior IAS officer who's held different positions, including the Principal Secretary of Women and Child Department, and discussed a number of things that the state is doing, is planning to do, and those were very interesting insights that we got from Ms. Uma Mahadevan. In the second one, we had a conversation with an academic, Dr. Jigisha Shastri, wherein we dived deep into various concepts of early childhood care and education. In the third one, in fact, we are bringing in someone very different from an academic or a bureaucrat, and this is a doctor, medicine doctor. He's Dr. Satish Pandya, who's pediatrician. Uh, there is something which is unique about this, because I think very few of us do get to engage with doctors in an ECCE related webinar. So we are all excited to have Dr. Satish Pandya. Before we have him over, we'll have Kidneri give an introduction, and soon after that, we're going to have Dr. Satish Pandya with us. Kidneri, over to you.
Thank you, Rishi. Yes. Thank you, Rishi. And good evening, everyone. Welcome back to those of you who've been following this series. Like Rishi said, we have Dr. Satish Pandya with us today. He's a distinguished senior pediatrician and adolescent expert and a counselor at Varun Complete Healthcare in Vadodara. Something distinguishes Dr. Pandya is the range of expertise that he has over his last 4 decades of work as a pediatrician, is his expertise from pediatrics, neonatologist, and adolescents, and now counseling and working with parents and school setups. Some of the things that distinguishes him is that he's been a fellow of Indian Academy of Pediatrics in the year 2005, have held a range of positions across the Gujarat state level and the national level, and been regularly writing, publishing in the area of pediatrics. So very pleased to have him on board with us. And concerns of pediatricians and concerns of early childhood educators, they are quite the same, right? In the sense that pediatricians look at health and development of young children, and we are concerned with holistic development, right? So our aims are same. We are talking about the young child, and we thought this was important to have this cross-sectoral dialogue and with a pediatrician who's been working with children for last so many years. Welcome, Dr. Satish, with us.
Thank you, Kinnari. Thank you, Rishikesh, and thanks Azim Premji University for inviting me for this unique session on Know Your Sector. So I was very pleased to actually be part of this. Maybe I'll be learning a lot of things from you, and maybe I'll be able to share my thoughts on the early childhood development. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. So the way we will follow this session today is that we will have a series of questions that we think are pertinent and bring the two together, talking about the young child. And at the end, we will have a Q&A and take on several questions that come in. So we request the audience to keep asking relevant questions that you have, dilemmas that you have in the chat box. And we will try and weave them into our conversation, as well as take up some questions at the end of the session. Right. So we start with the first one, and Dr. Satish, you've been in the domain as a pediatrician, working with children across different socioeconomic strata. So what are some of the trends that you have seen, right, across now almost 4 generations of children, in the development of children, in the kinds of concerns that parents come with, right? What has been your experience of working, treating young children and working with parents and communities of different sectors.
Right. So this is a very pertinent question because I started my career way back in 76 when I started studying my medicine, and I started my pediatric practice way back in 84. So it's almost 4 decades of experience where I have seen a lot of changes. It has been a very long journey, seeing a lot of changes in the spectrum of diseases, spectrum of requirements that we need to meet of the society. So it has been an amazing journey, and it will be very interesting to know about what changes are occurring across all the sections of medical care. But before actually we talk about growth and development, what are the changing trends, I think we need to define this terminology. Often these terms are used very interchangeably. So when we talk about growth in children, it's about the physical aspect. It's about their measurement in terms of their increase in height, weight, and size of the organs. So it's more of a quantitative kind of a evaluation that you look at when you talk about growth in children. Whereas development is acquisition of skills and abilities. There you measure them in terms of what kind of milestones they achieve, like walking, talking, socialization, and all those different aspects of development that we talk about. Now, I would also like to dwell a little more upon this early childhood development concept. You, as educationists, are talking about early childhood education. We talk about early childhood development. And IAP, Indian Academy of Pediatrics, which is a big organization of professional pediatricians, so more than 40,000 now in India. So we have a program called NCECD, Nurturing Care for Early Childhood Development. So early childhood development is very, very important because this is the time when the brain growth occurs maximally. And it is a little bit painful to know that 43% of children across our country as well as in globe are failing to achieve their true potential because we are not able to look at these early years of development. So what is the duration? I mean, what is the period we label it as early childhood development? So depending on the context and the programs in which you are talking about, say WHO defines it as 0 to 8 years. Government of India talks about 1,000 days, where it includes antenatal period as well as 2 years after the birth of the child. Whereas in IAP for this program, Indian Academy of Pediatrics, we define it as first 3 years. But suffice it to say that it's a very, very important period where the maximum growth of the brain is happening. Now, regarding the change, what kind of changes I have seen through last 4 decades, there have been definitely a lot of changes, and that is mainly because of advances that we have made as a country in terms of socio-economic, technological, healthcare, and educational fields. In every sphere of life, we have made advances, and that has made a lot of changes in the child health also. So as far as tiny kids are concerned, now we are seeing a lot of better survival. Our infant mortality rate, which was hovering more than 100 when I was studying, now it has come down to 25 or 30. So that infant mortality rate has gone down. A lot of premature babies are surviving. A lot of low birth babies are surviving. So their growth trajectories are very, very different than normal kids. Then there is a impact of better nutrition. So earlier we used to see a lot of stunting in children. That stunting has also gone down as far as physical growth is concerned. On the other hand, we see in a strata of society where there is no affluent society, we see a lot of overnutrition. Almost 20 to 30% of either children are either overweight or obese in the kind of spectrum which I see. So this is on the growth part of it. As far as development is concerned, the same factors with the advancements which I talked about, they are ironically resulting into two extremes. On one extreme, we have poorly developing kids. On the other extreme, we have so-called smart kids also. So what we are seeing is in some of the kids with delayed development, we have poor cognitive abilities, less social skills due to survival of premature babies and low birth weight babies. Quality survival is an issue. Gradually, as we advance more, our knowledge builds up. We are able to give better quality care and quality survival to these premature and low birth weight babies. But then there are certain things which affect the development in terms of socio-cultural development and advance in technology also. And that we'll talk later about when we talk about digital media and its use. We see a lot of children having delayed development, speed development, social skill development. That also we are seeing in the society. And we see a lot of smart kids also, who are very tech savvy, who are talking about things much ahead of their age. Surprisingly, we see a lot of such children, maybe because we have better educational tools at hand, we have better technology of learning at hand. So that's the kind of changes we are seeing. Talking about urban versus rural divide, being in a private practice, I am not much, I don't see a much difference between urban and rural, what I was seeing earlier. The same way, the things are happening little differently in urban and rural population. But in urban population also, there are slums, there are poor, and there are in rural population, there are elite people. So we see all kind of changes in both the urban and rural. So I don't see a big difference. That line is gradually blurring, actually, in my practice, at least I would say.
Right. Right. Thank you. I think this, what you've highlighted as some of the key changes, right? And it's interesting of this blurring boundaries, excess growth, if one can say so. Sorry, we are not, we wouldn't know the medical terms, but to say overnutrition and undernutrition, the longevity of children, infant mortality growing as an reducing, and therefore care of children becomes very critical. Care of young children, providing quality care for the first 3 years becomes extremely important for healthy growth later, right? So interesting nuances you have brought up when we say that looking at young children, looking at care and development of young children is a matter of growth and development, along with the socio-cultural factors that seem to be influencing in the way you also see patients and their changing trends in terms of diseases and others. Thank you. And what you highlighted about the rural-urban is quite an interesting aspect here. Rishi, yes.
Yeah, no, about what came to my mind, Doctor, is, I mean, when you were speaking, I was also thinking that there are a lot of things that require attention, which is beyond just medical care.
Right.
So according to you, what should be those areas on which we should focus on, given the kind of things that you see in your practice? Beyond the medicine, beyond the medical world, what is it that you think should be the focus of our attention? It could be educationists, it could be other stakeholders like care providers, it could even be parents. So where do you see that attention could become useful in helping this space become even better in terms of meeting the various other measurements?
So it is very important to look into this, because as I said earlier also, pediatric practice doesn't mean only medical care. We as pediatricians are, I would say very proudly that we are great practitioners of preventive medicine also. So when I see a child with cough, cold and fever, I don't look at the child only for that upper respiratory infection. I also observe the child's behavior, how the parents are handling. So a lot of anticipatory guidance also goes along with our pediatric practice. But to answer your question regarding what are the other areas, non-medical, sort of to say non-medical, but of course I consider it as part of our practice. So I would not say it is non-medical, but health related, physical health related issues. So more of mental health issues also we need to look at. So let us take one by one. So there are many things to talk about, role of pediatrician as well as those who are involved in early childhood development or early child education. I think we need to highlight certain areas of concern. So talking about various areas, first let us talk about home environment and parenting. Because this is what actually molds the development of the child in early years. And there are two things. One is genetic and other is nature. So nature versus nurture. Genetics is not modifiable. If a child is born with certain disabilities or learning disabilities, etc., we have it. But then there are certain modifiable things which we can actually work upon. So that is home environment. And in the home environment also, there are several factors which affect the growth and development of the child. So mainly I would focus on role of parents and grandparents, and later on when they enter the school and the friends, etc. Also, nowadays digital media is also playing a great role in the development of the child. Now, family dynamics, we talk about family dynamics. Whatever issues which I face as a pediatrician and a counselor regarding the behavior issues in the children, I come across a lot of issues with the family dynamics. So we have to look at what is the family dynamics, what is the marital harmony between parents, how is the relation between if they are in a joint family, what is the relationship between parents and grandparents. So all these factors are to be considered. Now, let us talk about the changes. What changes I have observed in last 4 decades in this. So what I see is that often now we see even in rural area that both parents are working. I have seen families where even the grandparents are working. So to say so, it is a joint family, but then there is no one to take care of the child when at home. So it is taken care of by some other person. So all parents are working. Then they are also in a rat race. They are stressed out people. What I find these days is that parents have a lot of stress beyond bringing up the child. They are torn between their professional and career duties, and they are also often feel very guilty about not caring for the child well. So, and with these changes in the environment, the parents are not actually trained. There are not many programs, as I know, in India whereby the training is given to parents before they actually become parents. Now, what is happening and what should be done? So parenting and grandparenting is a very dynamic process. If you really look at the role of parents and grandparents in early child development, we have to look at what are the various parenting styles that need to be adopted. So I, as a pediatrician, would promote sort of a positive parenting, which will mean there is a lot of warmth, but along with that, there are boundaries also set. And there are issues of, policies of positive discipline also. When, as the discussion comes up, we'll highlight more on what is the role of parent in bringing up, developmentally stable child where all emotional needs are also met. I use an acronym LEAD for good parenting and grandparenting. L means
Sorry, once
unconditional.
again.
LEAD, lead.
Lead.
So
Okay.
L means unconditional love. E is example, what kind of role model you are setting for your kids. A is acceptance. I always say that accept the child for whatever strengths and weaknesses he or she has. And then discipline. Discipline is very much important part of growth and development of a child. So as the discussion goes, we will talk more about how to inculcate positive discipline also. There is also a concept of responsive parenting, which all parents need to understand. Responsive parenting also means serve and return. As in the game of tennis, we serve and then there is a return. So all kids, starting right from their birth, they are giving us clues and cues. They are sending us messages. So the parents need to learn that to recognize those serves, and then appropriately they have to give returns. So this is called responsive parenting, which is very, very important part of bringing up an emotionally, mentally healthy child. So these are, I think, some of the things which I would like to highlight as far as good parenting practices are concerned. Now the question is whether we have this kind of facilities or services available or not. In the context of discussion that you are having, know your sector. My message here is for all the audience sitting here is that we need to build up. We need to have a capacity building efforts, which Kinnari shared with me that you are into it and you are involving a lot of people and making them interested in this. This is a wonderful field, very satisfying field, very challenging field, where we can train certain professionals, which can guide these newly married parents to be parents, or those who are already parents. It's not a mere question of counseling. It's more about training to be a good parent in the modern times. So I think there is a very great need for building up a cadre of such professionals who can help these newly married parents to how to bring up children in this new environment. This is not like earlier years when my parents brought up 6 children. though they never attended any kind of workshop or any, they never went through any guidelines as to how to bring up children. And fortunately, we are all doing very well. So
Right.
there is a change now in the society, and we need to wake up to that.
Right. So you're actually seeing a
Interesting.
gap that, yeah. Sorry, Kinnari. I mean,
Rishi, I was
I
just thinking.
yeah.
No,
Go
because
ahead.
what he said about parenting, right? Just here that today, after 6 months of age, many children are in daycares, right? Where there
Yeah.
are professionals, so to say, who are employed to take care of children. But a lot of
Right.
what you said about serve and return and other things just is an extension of home environment into a more outside home care environment. And therefore, it's of course the parents, but also these caregivers, that all of these what Dr. Satish just highlighted becomes so relevant there. So I just wanted to come in there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
No,
but
thank
what
you. In
happens,
fact, that is
Kinnari,
what I
is
was
that...
thinking.
Sorry,
Yes.
please go ahead.
No, Doctor, what I thought is that, that gap that exists currently in terms of, for instance, as you pointed out, newly married couple, who is it that who's going to orient them now, given that there is not enough of the joint family, which earlier probably would do, as you gave in your personal example, elderly parents, grandparents, but then now it probably needs to come in as part of a structure. And that gap is there, for all of us to see, because when you look at some practices in the developed societies, you do see this kind of an orientation happening as soon as the pregnant lady starts visiting the doctor, right? And then along with the father, the would-be father, they both are attending these sessions. And so these are practices now far and few, in our context. But then, what about the vast majority who don't get any kind of support? And I think that's the gap that you highlighted also.
Yes. Yes.
Which is useful for us to also think about. Yes, please. Sorry, you were about to add to what you shared.
I think Kinnari was mentioning about, I forgot, but it was about joint family. What I was trying to highlight that this joint family, also the grandparents are busy these days. If they are not working, they are busy with their mobile phones and looking at TVs rather than giving what I call as a responsive, grandparenting is not happening. As far as going to these so-called play groups, etc., also in my practice, what I see is a lot of children have anxiety issues. See, these people who run these play groups or pre-nursery care home cares, they are not following the principles of child development. They do not understand the psychology of a 6-month-old child or a 1-year-old, 2-year-old child. And the proportion of teacher to students or kids is also not very desirable. So there are, as Sasikanth said, there are a lot of gaps which need to be filled up, and we need to build up a cadre who are trained professionals who can understand the scientific basis of child development and accordingly treat the children.
Absolutely, yeah. And in fact, what we see at homes wherein there are erroneous practices, such as you pointed out, giving a phone to just get the child to keep quiet, right, or to feed the child. And similarly, unfortunately, even in formal places like care centers, you do see erroneous practices, and that you are identifying as lack of appropriate capacity building.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Some other areas which we can talk about, Sasikanth, is about, as a pediatrician, I am not into an education
Rishi,
field, but
sorry, I just wanted to come in. Rishi, Dr.
Rishikesh,
Satish is
Rishikesh,
Rishikesh. Yes, yeah.
Sorry. So, though I am not into field of education, but I do visit schools. I do get feedbacks from the parents regarding schooling. What I find is that a lot of parents these days are pushing their children into early education. What you call as early education for them is very different. What they mean is how to they put their children into sort of a race. They are in a rat race or a horse. They are horses in the race, where they expect so many things from the kids as far as education, I mean curriculum is concerned, as well as extracurricular. So I see that a lot of children are no longer enjoying their childhood. The joys of childhood is missing in these kids. So that is another change which I have found in the bringing up of children. There are no playgrounds in the school. I often visit schools where there are no playgrounds. So I think that also needs to be, and nutrition also, of course, we talked about that. A lot of junk foods are being fed to the kids, the ultra processed food, sugary drinks, carbonated drinks, dairy products. So all these things are also causing a lot of problems of the health also. So when we are talking about various changes which has occurred in the areas which we need to work upon is no, not only the parenting, grandparenting, but also looking at the school as well as nutrition also.
Right. Right. In fact, there's one question, doctor, on the quality time, right? And you did mention about spending time. So it's about spending the right kind of time, right? I mean, and
Right.
everyone today, given that there is the stress of work, and as you rightly said, even grandparents working. How do you think one should be spending quality time with children today? What are the best practices that you've seen? What is the advice that you give to your patients, parents, right? Because you have children as
Right.
patients. So, if you could throw some light on that aspect.
Yes. So quality time means that you are devoting a focused and meaningful time to the child. And what I defined as a responsive parenting, where in your day-to-day life also you pick up the cues from the child according for his emotional needs and his physical needs, and you try to fulfill them with a focused and meaningful interaction with the child. I also talked about serve and return. So I used to give a lot of examples in the schools where I went for parenting. I used to say that when your kids are little grown up and you take them to a movie, you know you spend 3 hours there in a movie hall, which is a no which is not a quality time. You don't interact with them. But at least when you are driving back home, you can spend those 15-20 minutes regarding what you have seen in the movie and various aspects of that. Similarly, when you are dropping your child to the school, you can pick up the newspaper, ask them to read, discuss, give your inputs to the recent news. So this is the kind of inputs that parents can give to the child in whatever little time they have. So it should be meaningful, it should be purposeful, and it should be very responsive. That is quality time. Now there can be a lot of examples, like a small child, say 2 or 3 year old child, can accompany the mother in the kitchen. Mother can explain that child as to how she is making the food, how she can take help of the child. If there are two siblings, how the older child can take care of the other child. There are so many learning opportunities which arise in our day to day life, and that is the time which I feel is the best quality time spent with the child.
Right. I think earlier all this used to happen as a matter of fact, right? I mean, children were there in the kitchen as mother was cooking or father was helping out, and many things they just learned. And today, with the things at such a fast pace that we operate, we kind of don't want anybody to come in there and disturb. We think a child being around while we are doing some work is a disturbance, and shoo them away, and give them a gadget to keep them busy. So these are things that have come into our life, which we, I think, need to now recognize and consciously try to put away, to go back to do things which otherwise used to very naturally happen. And I think
Right. So I
that's
can
really
add
what
little
you.
more about add little more about this when I think over is that your interaction with the child should be age appropriate. The kind of quality time that we are talking about can be age appropriate in terms of the kind of toys that you offer to the child, in terms of the kind of activities that you get involved with the child. So it has to be age appropriate right from birth to 7-8 years, or even in adolescent also we talk about these interactions. So every parent should realize that what kind of age appropriate activities they can indulge into. Like a newborn child or a 2 or 3 month old child will be happy to see a big colorful object. So what he can see, what he can hear, a little rattle or little music noise, or even the utensils that you have in the house. I always tell parents that you don't need very expensive toys. Whatever you have, you can make the child play with them. Like say, depending on the age, a big doll big doll can be used for a 4-month-old child also, can be used for 6-month-old child also, can be used for 2-year-old child also. Because as they acquire their skills, initially say it's just visual and then hearing, and then gradually they start using their large muscles, then they start using their small muscles, and their intellectual level also progresses. The same toy which was used for a 6-month or 2-month-old child can be used for a 2-year or 3-year-old boy or girl also. So you can dress up that doll, can put some ornaments on that doll. So I think this is the kind of activities that parents need to understand and indulge with the child, and that is the quality time. Another thing is that I have seen many parents or grandparents uh, asking a lot of questions, testing the knowledge of the child. No, that's not the way to spend time with the child. You sit down with the child, come to their level, talk about what is interesting to them,
Right.
look at their cues, look at the kind of signals that they are giving, and indulge them into their activities of their interest rather than imposing ourselves onto them. We see in our family gathering, chalo itna karke dikhao, chalo ye bolo, no, act like this. No, these are not the kind of quality time that you spend with the child.
Right.
I hope I have made some point in that.
Absolutely. Kinnari, if I can just, because Dr.
Yeah.
Satish also has this, wide range of experience, right? He's worked with very young children, and then you also do counseling, you work with adolescents.
Yes.
I was wondering whether, through your 5 decades almost of work, have you seen or what kind of an impact have you seen when children have not got the kind of quality time that every child should get from parents? How does it impact during the adolescence? Have you come across
Yes.
researchers, or is there anything that you could share about that?
I can share my experiences where I have seen children presenting with lot of behavior issues. Even couple of days back also, I had a child from Africa. He's an about 9-year-old child, but then he has nightmares. He screams at night. He is disobedient. He defies his parents, and then he threatens the father that when you are abusing my mother or you are using abusive language, no, I will start using the same language too. I mean, this is just an example, but I see a lot of issues, behavior issues in adolescence, which are basically due to disturbed family dynamics where quality time has not been given. They have been given a lot of physical comforts, but they are not being given the enough warmth and the kind of training or kind of quality time which builds up their emotional health also. Emotional regulation is lacking in today's adolescents because of this less quality time given by the parents, so they cannot adjust to the environment. We see a lot of falling in the grades as far as scholastic performance is concerned, lack of concentration. No, they cannot manage their anger. All these things we can actually attribute to the disturbed family environment where parents have failed to give quality time to their kids. A lot of teenagers who have indulged in rash driving and causing major accidents also, if you trace back to their childhood, it will tell you that quality time was not given to these kids.
Thank you so much, Kinnari.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to bring a whole range of things that Dr. Pandya has just shared. In terms of emotional regulation as in early years and what happens with children in their immediate context. School also is an immediate context. So the preschool or pre-primary where the children are going is also the immediate context. So the kind of time being given at every stage and the range of activities that you shared and emotional regulations and all of it, I think it tells us a lot about what is there to be done in the society. As individuals in our parenting capacities, teachers as capacities, and finally people who are working there. So that was something that struck me, and I thought I want to highlight a couple of questions that are kind of resonating with what you have said.
Before you
Also,
raise
is
your question, Kinnari, sorry to interrupt.
huh,
I would like to
huh,
highlight that these parents who
hmm,
fail to give this quality time, unfortunately, they are not aware about this.
Right.
They have not been trained. They have not been given that kind of guidance. They have not been given guidance that this is important. They are so engrossed in their own life that they fail to understand that our failure of giving quality time to the child will result in this. So they are ignorant actually. That's why this need for
Right.
training professionals who can train parents how to become a good parents in the current era. Yeah, please go ahead, Kinnari.
So I was just this about parenting, and then the other point you also raised is about teachers, right? And that they are not trained themselves as to what is it that young children need, and age specific, developmentally appropriate practices and child psychology. So this relationship between is are we educating children too fast? Somebody has asked this very precise question, and my question too, that are we loading children with things that they are not ready for? And what would be your sense of what is it that we should be doing with young children?
So my sense is that children should not be introduced into formal education till 5-6 years of age, because what we see is just mugging up the things and trying to teach them ABCD and 1 2 3 4 5. That's not there. That age group is not meant for this kind of learning. What they learn, they take 5-6 months to learn something. They will take only few hours when they grow up enough. Their brain is developed. So that early education in terms of formal education is not something which goes well with childhood psychology. So when they go to the school or play groups or nursery or junior KG or senior, what we advocate is experiential learning. Early learning programs should focus on experiential learning, whereby they interact with people, they interact with surroundings. They are given various opportunities to learn from their experiences. That should be the goal, rather than putting them into formal education. And it's very pathetic to see a 3-year or a 4-year-old child going to tuition after the school. I just can't imagine what they are going to they are doing to their kids. When the child is put to a tuition class after the school is over for 2 hours, 3 hours, where is the time for the child to play and indulge in physical activities, which we are not seeing? So I think this is one big area where educationists should focus on, as to make the curriculum in such a way that there is more of experiential learning than there is a formal education.
There's one question here, Doctor. I think it's something that would be useful for us to engage with. The question is asking whether we should look at age appropriateness or developmental appropriateness, because children have varying cognitive development that is taking place, particularly at this early age. How would you look at it?
See, it's very difficult in a class of 40 or 50 people to cater to need of each and every child. This principle will apply more for children who are special, like say ADHD child or ASD, that is autism spectrum disorder child, or learning disability child. So for that, I think it's practical and implementable to focus on them in a different way than the normal class. As far as this developmental stage is concerned, by and large, the spectrum doesn't vary to a great extent in early childhood. So I wouldn't. Otherwise, what will happen is that parents will feel that this child is being given more attention than my child. That is what is happening. What is happening in Kota and other schools or those factories where they produce rankers. They select out a cream of the student population. They train them well. So that's a very different scenario. When we are talking about early life education or early childhood development, I think that kind of discrimination should be avoided. But on the other spectrum, where the child has less abilities, those who are having intellectual disability or delayed development, ADHD, ASD, these children definitely require a different attention, what we call as a special or a remedial education efforts.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So this kind of brings to another question or a field, which we said, like parenting education and all is quite prominent in other countries where their socio-cultural environments have been different. this idea of child life, right? Supporting children within hospital settings. What is your view on something like that, and professionals needed for that, right? So,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
In fact, it's a very wonderful idea. We as pediatricians have been doing it without labeling it as a child life support system. Like, say, we make the environment child friendly in our clinics, in the wards, etc. We talk to them, we indulge with some play activities to reduce their psychological stress. When a child, say, undergoes a procedure like, say, putting a intravenous cannula or giving some vaccines or injections, we try to make the ambience as child friendly as possible. Unfortunately, in India, we do not have many child life specialists. It's an emerging field. Again, for a session like this where you are looking at know your sector, this is one big field where we can have trained professional who can be labeled as child life specialist, and they go to the clinics, they go to the hospitals, and train the other staff also to make the child comfortable in that setting. Not only child but family also. Ultimate aim is to reduce the psychological stress that the children go through when they are in the hospital setting, whether it is an OPD outdoor setting or in indoor setting. There is a great role for this kind of professionals, and I understand some of the hospitals are doing it now. I know one, at least Dr. Preeti Desai from USA, who used to come. I mean, she was in Baroda for doing her PhD, and we had some programs. There is one hospital in Baroda also where a child life specialist works. I understand some big corporate hospitals are also employing these kind of people, but it's not very widely prevalent as we see in the other countries or developed countries.
Right. Right. Yeah. So you've kind of highlighted several areas where there is a need for professionals, right? In terms of parent education, to nutrition focus, to hospitals and settings, and of course, well-trained early childhood practitioners in general. So I think it's the range of things that you've covered. There are a range of questions alongside that have come in as well.
Sure.
Rishi, before that, do you want to add something, and then we move to the questions?
No, we could go into questions, because some of the things that anyways I wanted to bring into the conversation seem to be there. In fact, if you want to pick any, there are lots of questions, Dr. Satish, and one of them which I think we could begin with is this aspect of having inclusive education, because there was this question which I thought is important for us to address as educators. We talk about inclusive education, and there is this question as to why are special children taught with normal children. It's something that I think we all engage with, and there is very strong rationale, and that is what we bring into this idea of inclusive education. How do you put this across? So what happens to children, let's say, in terms of their growth, in their progression, when you actually bring them together rather than have them looked at separately, taught separately, engaged with separately? What has been your experience?
So this inclusivity is a very important thing. Unfortunately, it's not being practiced as it should be. Because I have a lot of patients who are suffering from these various developmental disorders, and when I ask them which kind of school they are going to, whether they are being welcome or not, but the idea is wonderful. It should be. It works both ways. It works for the special child as well as it works for the other children also. It's part of their learning lessons of life, where they learn humility, they learn how to help other kids, they learn how the world is made of different unique people. That kind of learning they get. And I think it's a great thing to have a special child in the class where other kids would learn how to help others, how to live together with different capacities. So it's a wonderful idea, and some of the schools, as I know, are accepting these kind of kids, and they are actually doing what it should be done. On paper, we know that every school has to accept it. It's not happening everywhere. It's well laid down on the paper, and I agree with that principle. And I recollect those parents whose children are put in normal school as policy of inclusion. They are very happy. Their children, these special kids, progress very well than those who are not given this kind of privilege. So it gets wonderful results.
Right. Yeah. And I think a lot of other development in a young individual is also impacted positively when there are different kinds of children in the environment, which unfortunately, as you said, doesn't really happen in many of our so-called preschools or early care centers, wherein they choose and pick as to who can be admitted. And as you said, homework for a 3-year-old, similarly, a screening test for 3-year-olds before they're being admitted to homogenize, the group of children whom they are having, has so much more of a negative consequence than what people actually, understand. Very true. Yeah.
So there's something else again on the chat, and a very nice discussion happening amongst all our audience. They are laying their perspective, asking questions. So thank you for that. Let them keep coming. One of the questions is that, is there any relationship of nutrition with respect to developing sluggish behavior and laziness in the new age children? So does food have any direct connect with the way children respond or way children behave and their
So I will
development
give
in
some
general?
examples. I will give some examples which are evidently, prove that these are the foods which are detrimental. So what IAP, that Indian Academy of Pediatrics, has published a guideline on junks, JUNCS. It means junk foods, which we usually relate to these fast foods. Then ultra processed foods. Then nutritionally deficient foods, carbonated foods and beverages, and high sugar content food. I mean, these are the things which affect the child's mental health. Say, for example, if you take caffeine, caffeine causes a lot of stimulation, excitement. There are sleep disturbances because of that. With high sugar, also, you get a lot of morbidities because children become obese. Obesity brings in all its harmful effects on the physical as well as mental of the health of the child. Obese children, because they are not indulging into physical activities, they become lethargic. They are often found to be lacking in concentration because of this lethargy. Their sleep, I mean, many of these foods cause sleep disturbance also. So sleep deprivation or poor sleep hygiene can also cause mental health issue. As far as some micronutrients are concerned, yes, vitamin D and others are often thought of having causing some mental health disturbance. Vitamin B12 deficiency, vitamin D deficiency. So healthy food is very, very important for mental health as well as physical health. And what I call as healthy food is something which is cooked in the home and not purchased in the packets, to
Right.
simply put it.
Thank you. Yeah. And like you had earlier mentioned, that some of this is no more urban or rural. The processed food and the kind of food that children across our region seem to be consuming today is so market driven. And thanks for highlighting that there is a real connect and direct connect between what children are eating and how they are growing and developing and their overall experience of living itself. There's another question, and I'll
I
just
want to
bring
make
that
one
in.
point, Mary. I want to make one point. So each and every child, the change in the practice that I have done in my last 40 years is that each and every child who visits my clinic, there are certain things that we put, and the topmost thing is their diet and their screen time. Both are so very important in the child's development that no child goes out of my clinic without being having discussion on these two issues. Yeah, please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, no. And there is another question again from somebody from Chhattisgarh who says that the situation regarding nutrition, health, and education in that region in Chhattisgarh is predominantly tribal, and therefore nutrition and education seem to be weak. What are some of the alternative methods that can be adopted? And in any impoverished environment, right? What are some of the things that should be helping children to get nutritionally rich food? And like you said, home cooked food, any inputs, quick inputs on that.
Yeah,
And
I
then
think
we can
it is bringing in awareness amongst the parents at what is good and what is bad for their kids as far as nutrition is concerned. Even in rural areas or in the labor class of people, I see children moving around with those packets. So they can make a jawar rotla rather than giving a packet to the child. I mean, it's all about awareness, bringing awareness. I don't think it is deficit of food. It is more about quality of food which is important.
Right.
And I think that's something that we, many of us are guilty of. Just because we've spent so much of time, let's say, on just getting from work to home and being tired, being stressed, we very easily take the easy way out.
Yes, they are
So
shortcuts.
shortcuts, right? And
Yes.
that's how the fast food, in fact, comes in itself. But on the other hand, in fact, I think Amukta ji has made that comment, which I think is an important one. She talks about how lack of risk-taking activities in a normal day, from the time of a baby, it actually surfaces in exaggerated way at adolescent. So this is another thing that has come in. One is we taking the easy way out as, as parents, as adult stakeholders. The other is also trying to protect children from everything and not allowing any space for any kind of risk taking, which kind of takes us to another exaggerated behavior as children grow. You have anything to share on
Yes,
that?
yes, yes, yes. We see a lot of such children who are, brought up in a very protective environment. There are different styles of parenting. One of them is indulgent parenting or very protective kind of, parenting, where they don't let the children get exposed to certain, adversities in life. They are so protective that the children grow up without no idea of how to deal with challenges in life. And when they are thrown into the real world, they are at a loss to deal with them, and then they go into a lot of psychological and behavior issues. So when you talk about style of parenting, we promote positive parenting or authoritative parenting, where there is a lot of warmth, as well as there are boundaries set, there are limitations set, there is assertion but no aggression. So that's the kind of parenting that we promote. I mean, shortly we can discuss a lot about various styles of parenting, but to put it in a very short way is to be giving a lot of warmth to the child in our day-to-day conversation and our body language with the child, as well as we try to put certain limitations and boundaries also. So this is the kind of parenting which will help those who are indulgent kind of parents or grandparents. Their children grow up without knowing what are the boundaries, and then they end up with a lot of issues, mental health issues also.
Right. Can I just add this one question that has come in on the chat? I think it's interesting about these so-called superfoods. I mean, these days there is a lot of discussion on various kinds of superfood. So, what is your take on that? And also with the kind of practices that are happening in our farming. So it could be dairy, it could be poultry, with lots of different kinds of injections. So is anything that is coming out of, let's say, a dairy or a poultry healthy, even healthy? So what are your thoughts? What are you seeing when you look at children?
I think I am not the right person to answer this question, because this is ubiquitous. No, I cannot do anything about what they are doing to their animals, what kind of injections they are giving. We talk a lot about having organic food. So how many of us can afford? How much is it available? So I think what parents should actually discuss more about is that whatever is available, whether they are using the quality food or not. The superfood, probably what the parent probably means by superfood is the so-called market-driven products which are there in the market, where they give energy-rich food, or they give this micronutrient, they give this micro. We as pediatricians do not support any of these products. We do not support any supplements. We do not support any powders. So there are many adolescent kids who would come to us, seek our advice regarding protein supplement, and other things which they want to consume. But then I try to tell them that focus on what is available in the house. You get every nutrient. I mean, we have all grown up with our routine foods only. We are not lacking in any micronutrients. So why are we looking at those commercial products to get what is available at home only? So we need to promote a balanced diet, where we give certain percentage of fat, they say 10, 15 to 20%, 30% protein and 15% carbohydrate. There also we all know about that pyramid, where we give a lot of vegetables and fruits, and then comes the other foods, and least of sugar and salt also. I mean, these are the principles which are very well known. Unfortunately, they are not being sort of practiced because of the commercial lure. I mean, they see advertisement, they see celebrities advertising those products, and then they fall prey to those propaganda.
Right. And I
There are no
think as right. Thank you, doctor, for that. Because I think as ECCE professionals, right, or anyone engaging with children of very young age, this is something which is, a knowledge that we should all have. The knowledge, the awareness of, these aspects, because it is only through spreading of the right kind of knowledge would we be able to stop some of these practices that are coming due to, as you said, marketing, advertisements, which of course don't take into account these aspects of both growth and development. So
right.
thank you for that. And I think that also kind of helps us think about what are those aspects that we should be looking at when we are thinking of various kinds of development programs for stakeholders engaged in the ECCE space. So thanks for that. Kinnari, you had anything? We are just a few minutes away from
I think yes, that's
closing.
right. Yeah. So I would want to just kind of quickly bring the element and some initiatives at the Azim Premji University that we've been focusing on, and to say that as a society, as a growing, developing society, there is so much that we need to do. And when we say investing in young children, it's not just economic investment, but the social investment. As parents, as caregivers, as educators, as nutritionists, also the market. As in, I wish as a group of professionals, we can really influence the market to say that here screen is, what you're promoting, but can it be again qualitative or quality? What is that quality in food? What is that quality in games and toys and everything? Society we need to, and I think what you started out with, Dr. Pandya, that there has to be a cadre of professionals and professionals across all this. I think that's one of the reasons why we've started this very series, that when we look at children, it's not just about education and learning to read and write, but it is this holistic aspect of development, of learning, of environment, and various opportunities that they get. So I'm going to quickly run our audience through what we do at Azim Premji University. As many of you know, we have several programs across master's and undergraduate streams. We run certificate programs and diploma programs in early childhood, inclusive education, learning disability. Many of our audience today have been discussing on that element. And finally, a new program that we launch in July 2025. It is a 2-year full-time master's in early childhood care and education program. Just to quickly run you through it, in fact, what very beautifully in today's session we have covered that what is this development? When we talk of learning, what is learning? What kind of learning, right? Experiential learning, how do children make meaning? The context that children are growing up in, the various range of policies and systems. Uma Mahadevan had given us a spectrum of things that the public system is doing today. Dr. Shastri had given us a range of things that are required. And what is this policy and systems? Early stimulation. In fact, a lot of our today's conversation was on early stimulation, health and well-being, nutritional aspects, and family community care. Researching as professionals, how do we understand what are good questions? How do we enter those questions? What is the kind of communication that we do with the larger world about research on children? Curricular aspects, like again, Dr. Pandya said that educators need to understand. We had discussions on developmentally and age-appropriate aspects of curriculum for language, for mathematics, for science. Is it just downward kind of extension, or is it? How do we see young children and their learning and education? And here education is about development, not necessarily about teaching them subjects, right? And finally, the caregivers and professionals. So we hope to cover a range of this with our core programs, the core courses in the program. We think that the field today needs practitioners, researchers, and the two to come together. Again, what Uma Mahadevan had brought out in our earlier session, that research and for good practice, they need to kind of come together. And a range of electives, again, like all our programs. So yeah, this is just a quick introduction. Those of you who are considering investing in this domain, love working with children, want to really contribute, we think as working in this domain for long years, and Dr. Pandya and the larger sector of nutritionists, practitioners, doctors, pediatricians, of course, would really appreciate that we were all working collectively towards the development of young child. So this is one of these things that the university offers, and you could really pick that up. And it doesn't matter whether you have an undergraduate degree only in science or math. You can be any graduate or working professional, and this becomes a good space to, come and explore the area and build a career in it. Yeah, so that was it. Thank you. Everyone.
One takeaway for me, Kinnari, from this,
Yeah.
and Dr. Pandya, that, example that you gave of the tennis and the serve and return was really, something that has stuck because the cues that children give and being trained well enough to pick those cues, both, be it as a parent, be it as, a professional, I think that is something that you brought out, which is very, very pertinent for all of us in this space. Thank you very much for that. And thank you for the time that you have given us. It has really been very, very useful. As I said, we very rarely engage with medical practitioners, and to have a pediatrician to come on our webinar, we are very grateful to you.
Thank you, Rishikesh. Thank you, Kinnari. It was a pleasure to interact with professionals like you. I also came to know about what kind of programs you are running, and in future also, whatever way I can give you any help, I'll be there to help you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was a very rich session, and so our audience also says so. So thank you very much, and keep joining us. That just one last announcement that next webinar will be on the 18th of December, and we will have somebody from the disability domain. We have been having several questions on it. Rishi, do you want to share more on that?
Yeah, no, just that there are a number of questions which are there, which we have not addressed directly, but then we are going to have these questions, and the appropriate sessions, we're going to take them up. So there is, a couple of questions which are related to disabilities, exclusion, inclusion, how should one go about? So I think those are very important questions for us. Dr. Pandya has addressed them to an extent, but then in a session exclusively for some of these questions, we are going to dive deep. So we are going to make note of your questions. Thank you for sending them over and being engaging. We are going to announce the December 18th speaker soon, and we're going to have another very interesting speaker to converse with Kinnari and me. So look forward to having you over for our next webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.